go scream, girls, boys will make you...
Hi, I'm sorry if that blew out your eardrums. This is Scream Girls, the podcast, and my name is Kaitlin Mackenzie.
And my name is Callie Goff.
And we like scary movies, and we want to talk about them.
Yeah, this is our very first episode.
Yeah, it's our maiden voyage. We have a very special, a near and dear to our hearts movie to talk about first, out the gate. But before we dive into that, I want to know, Callie, why do you like scary movies so much?
Oh my gosh, Kaitlin, you're going right in deep. I don't know. Why do I love... I've loved scary movies ever since I was little. It might be because my mom and I would watch them together a lot. When I was, I want to say 8 years old, we would go to... This is how old I am. We would go to the rental store every Saturday. And I would always pick Disney's one foray into horror movies called Watcher in the Woods. If you know it, holler at your girl. Betty Davis. I would rent it every Saturday. I would walk right to it, take it out from behind its little case, and I just loved it. So I've always liked scary movies. What about you?
What about me? I actually think this is interesting. We have a very different perspective, scary movie-wise, because I didn't really start getting into them till adulthood. I was going to say adolescence, but I would sort of sporadically watch them. I would often read the Wikipedia entries about scary movies without ever watching them because I was too scared to watch them, but I wanted to know what they were about. And then I just sort of started to over-re-up as I got older and watch them. And, you know, it's like eating spicy food. You acclimate yourself.
You got a taste for it.
I think what I like about them is that I'm such a rule person and such a sort of tightly wound person and a play-it-safe person. Callie's face is registering no shock. But I'm a very play-it-safe, rule-following person, and so...
Your 8 pages of notes on today's movie didn't give that away, Kaitlin.
Yeah, but I just think that scary movies, much like true crime, which we also have bonded over, it's an opportunity to live out rule-breaking and ruptures in the social contract.
Yeah,
in a safe way, maybe.
I think I just like to get my heart racing. You know, I don't exercise. So I like to just feel the jump scare and, like... get that pulse going. That's scary movies are my cardio.
They're adding years onto your life. Every time you
years onto my life.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Okay, what are we going to talk about today?
We're going to talk about dun dun dun, The Ring, a classic.
Literally
a new classic.
It is. Well, I think we both were excited to talk about this because it was a formative moment in our adolescences, respectively, when this came out. It was probably the first truly scary, what would qualify as a truly scary movie that I ever saw. Sleepover staple.
See, it was not the first scary movie I saw. I've been watching scary movies clearly for years before this. But I remember this movie distinctly, and we'll get into more detail, but I just have vivid memories of sitting on my couch with my family. See, this is why I would watch scary movies with my family. Sitting there in the dark, all the lights off with the popcorn, and I remember this movie scared the bejesus out of me. It's a scary movie.
You know what? It has some very scary stuff in it. We'll get into it beat by beat, but it really was sort of the first moment, at least that I was aware of this sort of Japanese demon child that became somewhat of a trope.
Oh yeah, it set the trend. It wasn't. What was after this? The Grudge.
Dark Water was a similar movie. Also a lot of water
themes.
Soggy themes, yeah.
It's just a moist, yes. Oh, saying moist in the very first episode.
Well,
you're welcome. Okay, should we dive in and just start talking about this film?
Just a little bit of background about The Ring, made in 2002, which makes me feel old because that doesn't seem like a long time ago, but it is. It's 16 years ago. Directed by Gore Verbinski, which I was surprised to see because it was his first and only, as far as I can tell, horror movie. This is the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
Now, Gore.
Yes.
Is that a real... I mean, to direct horror and have a name like Gore,
well, maybe this is the tragedy of his career, is that he changed his name to Gore, expecting to be the next sort of Wes Craven.
And Pirates.
And then he just sort of boxed himself in with the Pirates franchise. Wow. He also directed Rango, also starring Johnny Depp, so...
Rango. Different from
Django. That is a Quentin Tarantino film. Rango stars an animated
Rango Unchained
lizard. Okay. So let's dive in. Do you want to just go like beat by beat? Do you want to start with this?
Yeah, I've taken
opening?
a lot fewer notes than you did, Kaitlin, but I wrote down Amber Tembley. Is that her name?
Oh, Amber Tamblyn?
Tamblyn.
With Joan of Arcadia?
She's in it.
That's who Katie is?
Yes. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you're correct.
Woo! Yes.
She did look familiar, and that's who she is. Oh my gosh, she's so
young, baby.
Young. Holy guacamole.
I think this was before the traveling pants.
It must have been, yeah. And she's like a grown-ass woman now. She's, married. She's an activist. Married to David Cross. We love her.
Yes. So that was my first takeaway.
Wow. That's
I always like when you revisit a movie and you're like, oh, a person, a famous person.
I didn't even know. Well, that happened to me actually when Naomi Watts showed up because I had forgotten that she's actually quite A-list.
By the way, is beautiful.
So I couldn't take my eyes away. Yeah. I mean, it was a movie, so you're not supposed to take your eyes away. But I did not realize how beautiful she was. And remains, I'm sure.
This is, I guess, one of those things that you watch a movie when you're young and that person seems like an adult, and then you watch it when you're an adult and that person seems like an angel-faced baby.
Right.
Like, Naomi Watts looked younger than I am now, which was upsetting. And her skin, she was luminous.
Her blue eyes, her perfect blonde hair.
Damn it.
Just a princess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to Naomi and Amber and the very scary looking Becca.
Now, there's a lot to unpack in this scene.
There's a lot.
Amber Tamblyn's going on and on about TVs shooting x-rays into your brain.
Oh, yeah. I was like, is this a theme? Is this a thesis of the movie? That we're, that TV is destroying us?
It was about TV. That is foreshadowing. But then Becca Non Sequitur says, I've got a better one. And then starts to tell her the story of the ring,
movie.
The tape.
Yeah, which she has already seen and is traumatized by, but not enough not to make a weird joke out of. But you know what? We all deal with our fears in different ways.
Do we, Kaitlin? I wrote, but why is she fucking with her? Because then the phone rings and she's legit freaked out / knew she was going to die.
Well, here's how I knew she was going. Because of her arrogance and because, as we learn, she has just had sex with her boyfriend in a cabin upstate or wherever it is.
Not a virgin.
I knew
you got to be killed.
That was it for old Katie, for old Amber, unfortunately.
Yeah, but why does she make that joke where she's like, she pretends to die?
I mean, maybe she's trying to, not be scared. Like, she is scared and she's trying to talk herself out of it. Naomi's pretty fucked up by the end of her 7 days, so I don't know.
I think it set the tone for the movie, which was the emotions are all over the place and they're not always fitting with
I agree.
The circumstances.
Well, do you want to transition from that into our intro to Naomi Watts, or do you have more to say? Because
I mean, I do have a page that says the thigh gap is real. Amber, that's another shout out to you. Where Becca? But then we meet Naomi, so let's talk about that.
Let's talk about Naomi, who does not seem as sad as perhaps she should about the death of her beloved niece.
Who we find out she was close with.
Yes,
according to the aunt.
She was the babysitter of her creepy son, her creepy, overly mature boy. Now, she's a very busy mom, we learn. She's very defensive of anything that the teacher... She must know something is wrong because she comes in the room, the teacher's like, I want to talk to you. Your son's great. And she's like, yeah, no problem, right? There's no problem. Nobody else would say that's a problem. Very defensive right away. Yeah. She knows she's not...
And also, she's seen her son's head. She's seen this boy's face. She knows something's wrong.
Sunken eyes.
Yeah.
And his creepy
I'm sorry, but good casting on the... weird little boy, but why? I wrote, why such a freak? Why so strange? Was he always strange? Has he just become strange since this thing happened with Katie and she's seen the ring?
But here's the thing I don't get. We find out he's been drawing these pictures prior to her death.
Right.
I mean, maybe
and
since
she's been telling him, I'm gonna die.
That's right.
Also, the girl who made a joke about her own death. Remember that at the very beginning.
Right.
Had been telling her young little nephew, cousin, about how she was going to die.
Clearly, and she's been journaling about it, we learn. She's had some conflicted feelings about this.
Drowned horses.
But, okay, so we learn that there's some stuff going on with Aiden. The creepy boy's name is Aiden.
Yes. I mean, the freakiest part of all, I'm sorry, but... when he took her dress out of the closet.
I wrote down, why are you asking your son where your dress is? And then he has it. What? Does he do the laundry?
Also, she wouldn't be looking for it if you just left it in her closet. She's searching like a maniac.
He's so independent, and then he's putting on a suit.
It was weird. No,
like a little Michael J. Fox in Family Ties.
And he's like, it's a little wrinkled Rachel. And the fact that he calls her Rachel, we haven't even talked about that.
I mean, there's something that we're supposed to take away about her being too busy as a mom.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know what? She's doing it on her own. She's got a nice apartment. She's a journalist.
Also, the way he walks to school. This is skipping ahead, but he's too young.
Is he going to school by himself?
He's too young. Also, like, okay, then why was Rachel late earlier? Couldn't he have just walked home by himself? There's a lot.
There's a lot. We don't need to nitpick, but we're gonna nitpick.
Yeah.
So here's something interesting about this movie that I took away from a screenwriting perspective. I had not recalled the relationship between Amber Tamblyn, Katie, and Naomi Watts. I just remembered it as like a cold open, and then we just went into the real story.
Right.
It's actually the inciting incident because we find out that Rachel is a journalist and her sister. Which, by the way, her sister rightly wants to understand what happened to her daughter because the doctors told her it was heart failure. We then see an image of her face.
Yes, and I was glad there was that line where the mom says, "I saw her face."
Yes, which I remembered that line very vividly. Like right before she said it, I said, "Oh, we're about to see some fucked up stuff."
Yeah.
So that was good. So she has a cigarette with some teens. The creepiest boy teen of all mansplains to her and her friends.
The boy from the OC.
Is that who that? I never watched
Adam
the OC.
Brody.
This is a veritable who's who of
I know.
early 2000s television teens.
I know, and him with the smiling.
Yeah, what are you smiling about?
What
Your
are you
friends
smiling
are
about?
dead,
Your friends are
you
dead.
dick.
You're at a funeral, and he's smiling and being kind of jokey. And
he just loves
strange.
having the info. He's just like so happy to be able to tell all these ladies what's up. I didn't care for him.
No. Oh, I always liked, but then actually by the end of this viewing, I was like, okay, I'm sick of it. The hues of this movie, like the greens and grays. And
it's very watery. I was looking at that and saying, this is a green movie. And it makes me feel like I'm sort of underwater.
Yeah. And like the Seattle rain.
Is that what they are in Seattle? I was trying to figure out where they were.
Seattle.
Yeah.
So, speaking of ill-fitting emotions that do not match the tone. So later, Rachel, when she realizes that they've all died at 10 p.m. and she's trying to figure out her niece's time of death, and she's in her newsroom or whatever, and her boss walks over and is like, "You're fired." And she says, "No, I'm not." And then he's like, "No, you are." And she says, "No, I'm not. I'm cooking too good a story." You're cooking too good a story about 4 teenagers who have died and your niece?
Yeah, one of whom is the child of your sister. Yeah, she's kind of a sociopath.
Shit.
But that'll come back at the end, actually. Maybe it's not so out of place that she's so cold here. And we'll talk about that later. But I do appreciate how kind of take charge she is and how she just bosses her boss right around.
Yeah, I did like that. And I
that.
did like that yo play.
I didn't. Was she eating a yo play?
Totally.
Oh my gosh. Wow, what a throwback. I only eat Faye now. Sponsorship. Oh, wow.
I liked, hopefully I'm not skipping ahead, when she goes to this cabin.
Yeah, no, I think that's where we are next.
So she goes to the cabin where her niece is in search of answers, in search of potentially this tape that she supposedly has watched. And I just loved the sight of an unlabeled VHS. It really brought me so many memories.
I was wondering, would this film work without would it work now?
Well, I mean, I was going to say this till the end, but I have watched The Ring 3, I think.
Oh, I've not seen it.
Which came out in 2000, I want to say 16 or 17.
It's called Rings, yeah.
And it takes place in modern day. Does it work?
Well,
Jury's still out.
It's interesting because, and without having seen that, it is interesting because I remember when sort of I first got email, and that was a thing, I would get a lot of chain emails that were like, if you don't send this to 7 different people, you know, you will die in your sleep. So, I mean, it was very much a digital phenomenon, but there's something about an analog tape, an object of a tape. And I also noted to myself, staticky TV sounds are very scary. It's not something you hear a lot anymore.
No.
You know, I have a Roku.
Very scary.
So I never hear it. Oh, by the way, just a brief anecdote. During the opener where, you know, Becca and Katie are so scared wandering around, The TV turns on by itself. Immediately after that happened, a magnet fell off of my fridge independently of any action on my behalf and scared me to death.
Oh my gosh.
Generally, I was not. We'll get to how I felt scariness-wise, but at that moment, I had to take a little break because I need more than 7 days.
I believe it.
All right, so where were we? So we're in the cabin.
She finds tape. VHS.
She watches the VHS, with which the tape itself, the fingernail getting broken by the nail was deeply, deeply upsetting to me. But otherwise, less traumatic than I remember the video itself. I
have seen this movie 100 times. I've seen it so many times that now, yes, fine, I can watch The Ring, the video. When I was younger, I couldn't bring myself to watch the entirety of the
in case
tape,
you would be killed in 7 days.
In case the phone would ring and I would die in 7 days. I would always close my eyes during at least, I would count to 3. Like, I'd count down 3, 2, 1. This is, like, weird, obsessive.
No, that's smart.
Shit.
That's smart.
I think it's pretty upsetting, disturbing.
Her ex-boyfriend later says to her that it's very student film, which I did agree with the assessment because it is very sort of just, it's a little judgy. I have thoughts about him as well if we're going to talk about mansplaining. But, I think it works. It serves its purpose. It's kind of like you almost come away with it more like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, I don't want to skip ahead, but I don't understand this movie at all.
Okay, I have a lot of thoughts about the structure of this movie, the backstory of this movie.
I'm not kidding. I've seen this movie, I want to say, 39 times in my life, probably. That might be an underestimation.
So many times.
So many times. I don't understand it. And I'm starting to think, I heard today someone say, plot is not important. And why have I watched this movie 39 times? Probably because plot isn't important. It's like, it's creepy. It's kind of, in its own way, this strung together series of, like, nasty images.
That's
and,
true.
Like, disgusting, whatever. And it doesn't make all that much sense.
That's a pretty interesting way to look at it because...
that's how I have to look at it, because at this point I just feel stupid that I don't understand the plot.
It is difficult. A lot of information we are given through newspaper clippings that we see only on screen. It was a lot of telling and not showing when we get to sort of the true mystery of it, which... Yeah,
the mystery also goes on for too long, I think.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I would agree with that. Yes. This movie is 2 hours long. This movie does not need to be.
Really?
It's 1 hour and 55 minutes.
So she puts it in, she watches the tape, then the phone rings, 7 days. And then she runs out of the cabin. I don't know if you clocked this moment.
She's freaked out. I don't think I did. I might have been writing.
She runs right out of the door into the field and does a little spin, and I loved it.
I missed it. Wow.
I was like, yes, this is the first emotion we've seen from you, you selfish bitch.
We do have an interesting moment here. So she invites her, who we found out later is her baby daddy, who I'm going to refer to as Hot
baby
Luke
daddy?
Wilson.
Okay.
No, Hot Luke Wilson.
Oh, he is a Hot Luke Wilson.
He looks very much like Luke Wilson, but
who is this man? I can't think of a single other thing
I don't know.
This Noah has done.
He's attractive, though, in sort of an annoying boy band
hair
way.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's there, and I guess because he has some kind of AV expertise.
Yo, how lucky.
How lucky. And he's and then she watches the movie. She doesn't want to show it to him, but he stupidly, arrogantly does. She goes onto the balcony. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there's this moment she goes down to the balcony and she looks into all of her neighbors' living rooms. Everybody's watching TV, and I thought, is this movie telling us not to watch TV? This combined with our electro wave cold opener speech?
That's kind of a messed up thing to do. Tell me not to watch TV as
You're
I'm watching this movie.
I know. So, or is it just sort of, she wishes she could just be watching normal TV? It felt to me like it was a little bit loaded. I don't know.
I wish I could be watching normal TV, but I only have 6 days. If I had 7 days, I would spend it watching Bravo.
I was going to say, what would you marathon? Real Housewives, certainly. Yeah. I don't know what I would watch. I would probably just rewatch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I need to give it one more go.
Yeah.
Anyway, Noah is like an arrogant, condescending kind of dick about this. He's like, nobody's ever died from watching a movie. Whatever.
I did not pick up on any of that.
Oh,
which makes me feel like a bad feminist.
No, it's fine. I'm just a shrill bitch. But I was annoyed by him. But I did appreciate.
I was like more annoyed not annoyed. I wasn't annoyed with Naomi Watts. I mean, I was extremely annoyed with Aiden.
Well, what is your problem?
What is your problem?
Truly. I was very into Naomi Watts as the protagonist of this film, though. Just getting it for herself. She's a single mom. You know, she's got some gray areas in terms of how she relates to other people.
Yes.
But I did appreciate that she was sort of our POV character. I didn't need Noah to be there, but he raises the stakes because they have a relationship, and he's a deadbeat dad of her creepy child.
Well, one thing that I liked was the copy sticker on the VHS.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Well, I was writing, Callie. Look at all these notes.
Like, it reminds me at the end of, okay, true confession, Kaitlin and I love Broadway. It's another thing that brings us together.
We're the Scream
So
Girls.
at the end of Mamma Mia,
Okay,
the musical, the two actors are going traveling. And the way that they telegraph this to the audience is that they come out in all khaki, head to toe khaki. And it's like, that's telling you we are traveling. We're going on safari.
Signpost.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was like copy, and it gets a nice copy sticker
Nice.
right across the edge of the VHS.
That's actually a useful moment of storytelling, and I wish we'd had a few more signposts. Okay, so she goes and talks to Becca, a scene we do not need at all.
We don't need it. Also, my question there is, like, Becca and Aiden have both gotten this psychic, she takes her hand 4 days. Why does this bitch know now?
I don't know. It's just because she looks so scary that, you know, she's like a conduit. I mean, Aiden also, because she looked scary prior to this trauma. Although less so. I don't know. I mean, I really can't tell you. I had a hard time with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I also thought about Naomi Watts' midriff a lot in this moment.
Does she bear her midriff?
Kaitlin, you and I were watching 2 different movies. I mean, the copy sticker, her midriff on display. It was very beautiful.
Why are you wearing a midriff-bearing shirt in a mental institution?
I think I noticed the midriff because I've seen this movie 39 times.
Oh, maybe.
So I'm really taking in new details.
That's good. That's a good perspective to bring in. Okay, so we see Becca with her chapped lips and her bad hair. Becca with the bad hair. And so then
The Fly.
So Naomi, she goes and watches the movie at a Navy closet somewhere, and the fly that's in the video becomes three-dimensional. That's pretty creepy. I think it's cool. And the fly itself, the way that it kicks its legs as she's holding it, I'm like, oh, don't hold that fly, girl. Let go of that fly. And then her nose starts bleeding, which is iconic.
The trope of the nosebleed.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Only iconic because it is a trope, I guess. It's not iconic to this film.
Yeah.
And she finds this lighthouse. I don't know if this is something VHSs really do, but she's able to expand the picture so that she sees this lighthouse. She ends up going to some archive. I don't know. It's not important. There's a lot of time spent in archives with microfiches.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even bother to write it down, but I did think, how long was she freaking in there that she pulls out the book with the picture of the lighthouse?
Right.
How long were you in those archives?
She finds a lot of stuff pretty fortuitously.
Yes.
But she finds this article where there's a picture of this whole family, and then there's this one tall-ass bitch at the end of the line, and only one in black, dressed like a Victorian teacher in mourning.
We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this. I'm going to bring us forward to Rings, because when I watched Rings, it suddenly, for the first time, became clear to me that this took place, this Samara, the horses, all of this stuff, in the 70s.
Right.
And I was blown away.
But she meets the husband, the father of Samara.
Well, God damn it. I didn't know. I'm telling you, I don't know.
Well, because she's dressed like Morticia Adams.
Why is she dressed like that with the peplum? And she looks insane. Why is she fucking dressed like that?
This lady clearly had issues prior to the tragedy.
There's like a fucking gilded mirror that she's looking into. Right. It literally, the aesthetic was Victorian.
Right. I agree with you.
And also I think that's because it's a lot less scary. I was like, this took place in the 70s?
Right.
I'm not scared.
If she was wearing bell-bottoms and a floral print.
Yeah, she was in a shag carpet and was like, the horses are drowning. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah, so
that was bizarre, and I feel like that led up
agree.
to a lot of my confusion.
Yeah. Anyway, she finds out about this woman, Anna Morgan. She was breeding horses. All the horses had a mysterious sickness where they basically drowned themselves. I will say, a horse drowning, a dead horse is a frightening thing because a horse is so large and so graceful, and to see it sort of in an ungainly, spindly position really is unsettling.
Yeah,
so
when that
I
horse
give it
goes
props.
flying off the back of that boat.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's gross.
That moment when it's all Naomi's fault as well. Stay away from that goddamn horse.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I was like, back the fuck off.
The horse is not into it.
It's not okay. Wait, we skipped a part.
We did. We have to go back. So, this is important. Now, Naomi's having dreams. This was gross, and this part was upsetting also. She starts coughing and pulling this gross, like...
It's like a hair.
It's like a black rope. You think it's a hair, and then it turns out to be like something you would attach to somebody that you were running tests on. Yes. Chokes on it coming out. Ugh. And if you've ever had a hair caught in the back of your throat, it's such a visceral... So props to them for that.
I can't eat spaghetti because it goes down my throat.
Oh, God.
I don't like it.
You just chop it up into little pieces. I'll help you. Anyway, so...
Then the little boy watches the video. So she wakes up from this dream, right?
Fucking video.
Well, she has that hand mark on her arm.
Yes, which is important that she has the hand mark because it's the mark of evil that is a signpost for us to learn things later. Why she has this video in her home where her child could find it. This child clearly is not supervised.
Yeah.
I don't, for the life of me,
here's what it got me thinking about. So, on a couple of occasions in my life, I have stumbled upon a blank VHS.
Okay.
And they are always porn.
In your home?
Not in my own home.
Okay, good.
When I was 8, at a friend's house, 8 years old, Aiden's age, I'm guessing.
Wow.
We found a blank VHS, popped it in. It was porn. Wow. It was my first porn experience.
That's young.
Scarred. And then, when I was 18, 10 fateful years later, I was outside of my freshman year building in college, and there was a blank VHS, and I was like, ooh, spooky. Put it in. Nasty porn.
I can't believe you would have done that having seen this movie. You would have put a blank VHS in the TV to watch.
I mean.
All the more reason not to have this death tape in your friggin' house where your son can find it. I think that's an
excellent point. Rachel, be responsible.
Rachel.
I mean, I was like, damn, day 6 came quick.
Yeah. Well,
and then day 6 was long.
And the stakes have been raised at this point, which it's tough to raise it after, son is in peril.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Kaitlin. I took a lot less notes in this section, and I think it's because, again, I lost the plot. I could not follow along. It was so much research. We were in day 6 for so long. There was the Brian Cox is this husband.
But I loved seeing Brian Cox, though. I was so thrilled to see him.
I was still wrapping my mind around the time because for all my
How
life,
is he still alive?
all my life, I thought that Samara was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I am so confused.
Well, I tried my best to follow along, and I think I unraveled it to the best of my ability. So let's talk it through.
To me, and I'll keep up.
Okay, let's talk it through. First of all, she gets on the boat. She murders a horse accidentally because she touches it and infects it with her evil. So this horse dies, and what I think is a pretty frightening scene, pretty creative. Gotta give props to the horse scene.
And the river, the blood that churns out from under,
and it's so much blood.
Well, that's also in the tape.
That's right. I forgot about that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I do like what starts happening now. She goes to this island that's featured in the tape, and we start seeing a lot of what I think are pretty effective sort of mirror shots where we see a scene that we've already seen in the thing, and it's pretty scary and cool. So I give it props for that, although again, there was a lot of previous to this point telling rather than showing, and I would have preferred to be shown a little more than just having to look at a million microfiches, or however you say that. So she gets to the island, she goes and hangs out with Brian Cox, the husband of Anna Morgan, this woman who has died after all of their horses who they were breeding committed suicide because of this strange virus. Brian Cox, by the way, fun fact, the original Hannibal Lecter in the movie Manhunter, which is like an adaptation of Red Dragon, which came out before the Silence of the Lambs movie. So he has like a little bit of horror cred, but also he's been in 50 jillion things.
Wow.
So I was excited to see him.
I do love Brian Cox.
He's great.
Rushmore.
He's
It's
great.
like one of my favorite movies of all time. Question.
Yeah.
Do animals commit suicide? Is that a thing that has been known to happen?
I mean, a rabid animal will run into a situation that is deadly to it. Its self-preservation act.
And I'm answering my own question. I read the headline of an article.
Okay.
As I often do these days.
So you're basically an expert.
There is apparently a bridge, whereabouts unknown to me, because I didn't read the article, from which dogs are jumping.
Oh, I hate that. So, maybe there's an optical illusion or something, or they don't. Yeah. There's something that the dogs can't understand about it.
Under the water or something.
Oh, maybe. That sucks. Well, I hope they're not infected by a Japanese demon.
That's the other possibility. There's really only 3 possibilities.
So she meets Brian Cox. He's very reluctant to talk to her.
Well, here was my question. And it seems we come to know that he's haunted by Samara still. She'll never stop. Indeed. She never sleeps, blah, blah, blah. But she's killing strangers and letting this father live. Why?
I don't know. Maybe it's a worse torture for him to continue to live in this world without his wife and knowing what he knows and living with what he did. Maybe he has some kind of power over her, because we do learn that he was, if not abusive to her, he was neglectful of her.
Yes.
I would be interested to know. She seems very focused on mothers, because she's also very focused on Naomi, who's a mother.
That's true. Where did she come from?
Okay. We do not know. I keep referring to... So, okay, we'll catch up real quick. So she goes and talks to friggin' Brian Cox.
Yeah.
She finds out through her microfiching that Anna Morgan had a daughter, an adopted daughter, which he denies. She goes and talks to this old-timey doctor who was the doctor on the island for the family.
Yeah, we could have cut that scene
By the way, the doctor has, I just have to say this, has an intellectually disabled grandson who is sitting playing with toys.
What's his name? Like
Darby.
Or something
Darby.
Darby.
It's just a little bit offensive because he's just there as a prop. He doesn't have any function other than to say creepy things.
Playing with that old school,
it's like,
whatever.
If you're going to have this person, give him an arc, give him something to do. Poor Darby. He's just sitting there. And I would be very surprised if the actor cast as Darby truly has an intellectual disability, which is a whole other thing into itself. Moving on. Talks to this doctor, finds out that Anna had wanted a child, couldn't have a child. We find out through other means that she has had 1 million miscarriages.
Yeah.
She adopts Samara, comes back from an unknown locale with this little girl, Samara, who I always think of her as Japanese because we rarely see her face. She's not Japanese. She's very European features, but, Anyway, and because of the source material of this film, I'm not just attributing evil to the Japanese. But
long black hair.
Yeah. And we find out that after Samara was adopted, Anna started hallucinating. Anna had a lot of mental health issues.
Right.
It is insinuated that a lot of shit has gone wrong on the island as well, like harvests and the horses and everything because of Samara. And they're kind of blaming
this insidious,
creepy child.
It spreads or whatever.
Something's wrong. So we learn about this. She goes back to the fucking house. Meanwhile, Hot Luke Wilson is investigating, which no one cares. No one needed any of that.
No,
he doesn't need to be involved.
And we see those tapes, or does he see the tapes? And then we see, okay, what were the things with the rocking horse, the x-rays?
Okay, let's get into this. We find out that not only has Anna been in a mental institution, but Samara has been. Yes. And there are tapes existing of her in the mental institution, which Hot Luke Wilson finds out that the father, Brian Cox, has checked out, and for some reason this sends him into a panic. He has to get to Rachel and let her know that the father, Brian Cox, has the tapes, which I don't understand why that seems like, maybe I'm missing something. Please write in and let us know. But I don't understand why that's such a crucial, oh no, he has the tapes. Maybe he just has the tapes. He's her father.
Happening.
It was a moment to check out. This is why I had to take notes so I would remember. But anyways, he finds out he has the tapes. She breaks into Brian Cox's house, just walks in, he's not there. She finds the tape, watches it. First of all, here's my question. So we learn that Samara is being interviewed by this doctor. This doctor is asking her, why do you want to hurt your mommy? What's going on? Why the fuck is this child being blamed for her mother's hallucinations? Why is a medical doctor speaking to her as though she could have anything to do with her mother's mental health?
Well, because she can burn a rocking horse into an X-ray, I suppose. I don't understand anything.
We
that's
do
happening.
learn that she does not sleep and that she thinks about images and then they just come into existence.
Oh,
as
that's how she made
pictures.
the video.
Oh, there you go. She just has a magic power to create matter, I guess.
I'm
okay.
stunned into silence.
So, because
What
the video
is it?
doesn't have
Is
a
it
tracking.
an X-ray? I'm sorry, I'm really stuck.
I thought it was an X-ray when I first saw it because.
And then the doctor was like, "How did you do this?"
Yeah,
Samara?
I thought, did she swallow that? And they took an X-ray.
That's what I thought too. You know,
She just thought she just made those pictures.
I was like, "Oh, she has that disease where she swallows batteries."
She has pica.
It's not her. She has pica. It's not her fault.
That's why she's in the hospital. No, she's in the hospital because her mother has hallucinations and her parents are blaming her for it. And instead of the doctors being like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" They're like, "Yeah, let's get to the bottom of this. Why are you so evil, little girl?"
Yeah, look at your hair.
Which, to be fair, she is evil.
Yeah.
But also, like, why?
Spoiler
alert. I should put a spoiler alert thing. All of these episodes are going to have
But also, like,
spoilers.
did we not know she was evil? See, it's hard for me to remember.
Well, it's kind of a twist. I mean, she's killing people. So it's like, what's going on here? But it's hard to accept that this girl...
It's hard to remember what it was like before I saw The Ring. So upon first viewing, did I think she was innocent? We just know
something. I mean, she's very creepy. I doubt you believed wholeheartedly in her innocence.
I thought Aiden might kill all of us at some point.
That would be a good twist. If she, like, saves them all from Samara and he just stabs her at that.
Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel. Here's your black dress.
Your funeral dress, Rachel.
He strangles her with the dress. Yeah. Okay, no. So she finds this out. Brian Cox
so she's
turns
watching
up.
the tape. Brian Cox bashes her over the frickin' head, which was pointless because, first of all, it didn't even knock her unconscious.
No. She just pops right back up.
Keeps
talking to
him. And I wrote, total badass or freaking idiot, because unlike most horror movies where you get bashed over the head and then you wake up and you flee,
yes,
she chases him up the stairs.
I guess she's just a good journalist, or maybe she has head trauma.
But like, to what end? What are we what are we
she's
trying to do?
mad at him. She has the reaction that I had, which is, what the fuck were you doing sending your daughter to a, like,
oh,
what?
Yeah,
what
she was like, she was your daughter.
She's mad, right? So she's mad about that. So understandably, okay. Now we get to a very scary scene, which I had completely forgotten about and must give props to. This very creative suicide that Brian Cox commits with electrical outlets and water.
All of a theme.
All of a theme. Technology kills people.
Stop watching TV.
This is the original Black Mirror.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he fucking electrocutes himself with TVs in a room full of water. And it's pretty gruesome. There's blood. It's pretty upsetting.
Gruesome,
yeah. So, I really liked that scene, and that was a fresh surprise for me.
And then
Luke Wilson.
Luke Wilson. Also, Luke Wilson is hot.
He is hot, but he's not... I don't mean to say that Luke Wilson's not attractive. In fact, given the choice between the two, I would choose Luke Wilson.
Like, poor man's Luke
Wilson.
But,
like, yeah, but he's hot in the sense... He's, like, conventionally hot in a way that Luke Wilson is not.
Like not crooked nose Luke
Yeah.
Wilson.
He's, like, a model version of Luke Wilson.
Oh.
Hot Luke Wilson turns up.
Hot Luke Wilson turns up. They do nothing. I would have called the police. They don't call the police.
They don't call the police. They go to the barn.
They go to the barn where there is an excessively tall ladder. The tallest ladder one has ever laid eyes upon.
But that's from the video. We remember it from the film.
Was that ladder tall? I have a step stool in my home that I got from IKEA. And I can't step to the second step. It's a 3-step step stool. I can't step to the second step without having someone hold me, brace me from behind.
Well, we know that Naomi is very bold. Also, she's got nothing to lose. She's got one day left. She's on day 6.
Well, what a way to go. Day 6, she falls
right off the ladder.
Yeah, and I didn't really get that. So
why has she been in
stay up there?
It looks like a nice room. I mean, it's not nice to put your kid in the barn, I guess, but she's got a little doll. She's got a little creepy little chair to watch TV in.
It reminded me of an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? One of my faves.
It reminded me of Tiny House.
Tiny House!
Because it was such a tiny little
it'd be hot right now. You could live in a tiny space
he was
above
just
a barn.
Forward thinker. So they find this tree, which she's seen the tree before. They go back to the fucking cabin where she watched the video, where it all began. She's like, it's over. You got to save her son. She's given up. He knocks over some beads. The beads gather. There's a fucking well. They chop through the floor.
Which upsetting the owner of that cabin
I'm certain.
to no end.
But you know what? They aren't worried about it because they're about to die. By the way, if we haven't said so already, the ring of the title comes from the well.
Do we not know that?
Well, we've seen the ring from the video, and we've seen it as a well.
We know that
maybe
that
not.
moment is the ring until. See, I don't know.
I don't even know either. It's hard
now
for me to say
just
now.
Know.
But the video, the death video, ends on this well. So they found the well. The TV, crazy stuff happens. It's like a poltergeist moment. The TV turns on. The TV literally crashes into her and knocks her into the well.
TV is evil.
Because TV is evil.
Stop watching TV.
She's in the well. Hot Luke Wilson runs to get help. And...
Oh my god. And when he runs to get help, and he grabs that hose, and he does literally like... he like does a full...
There's a little slapstick.
And then he keeps pulling it and being like, come on. It's like, the hose is not going to stretch or grow, man. Like, you need another plan.
Yeah, Hot Luke Wilson is not the guy you want in a crisis. Really. Yeah, it was a little comic relief for us in that moment. Nice.
Then she's down in the well, Rachel, good old Rachel, and I do think this part is gross, purely from my own experience with drains.
Oh, yeah.
When the hair... all that hair. She starts feeling all this wet black hair, and it was literally making me gag thinking about having to clean out as a woman with long hair, having to clean my own hair out of a drain. I feel like every woman knows what I'm talking about.
It's a textural, visceral thing. It's very gross. I mean, I do think that the well scene is another genuinely frightening scene.
And then because does she have like a flashback?
She's seeing fingernail marks on the wall. Gross. She finds a broken off fingernail.
Oh, I hate that.
Which I remembered that from when I was a kid being upset by that. So she finds the hair. Oh my god, there's Samara. Samara grabs her arm
and then
gives her a flashback. What do we learn in the flashback?
We learn that Anna Morgan loved a peplum. Loved a peplum. Loved a black Victorian peplum. And that she pushed Samara in the well. But also that she was living in fucking Victorian era clothes with a corset.
Yeah, that's reinforced for us.
That's what I took away.
But we also learn, yes, that she did murder her adoptive daughter. She puts a bag over her head, strangles her for maybe 1.2 seconds. Yeah. And then pushes her into a well.
And then kills herself?
Yeah, I think then jumps off of a cliff. She's down there for 7 days. She was alive for 7 fucking days, which is horrible. It's very upsetting to think about. Died in the well.
Oh, that is sad to think
It's really sad. I mean, even though we do learn some more about Samara, it's bad.
Yeah.
We learn that poor Samara has died this horrible death in the well. Naomi Watts acts as the mother that she never had and pulls her from the depths. And, you know, she's a beautiful little girl who then decays in her arms.
Right.
And then the burn mark that she has left previously in a dream on Naomi Watts' arm disappears. So we know Naomi, we believe that Naomi Watts is now safe.
Yes.
And then, the time has come and gone and she's not dead.
Hot Luke Wilson. Rachel, the sun has set.
Yeah, and she's still alive.
She's alive.
She takes a long time to answer him. I'm like, girl, he's freaking out right now. Tell him you're okay.
He's like, the hose won't breathe, Rachel.
So it's all good. She's alive.
That hose would have had to been so long.
So long.
That well was fucking deep as hell.
It was a bad plan. It was not a good plan that he had. So we feel like we're wrapping up. She's solved the mystery. It's good. They go home. They have a nice moment as a family where they drive home. They hold hands, and it looks like it's all going to be good.
They pick up Creepster from the floor where he's splayed like out, like half carpet, half hardwoods. His aunt and uncle just forgot they were watching him. They're going through stuff. Going through stuff.
So Luke Wilson leaves all.
Oh, and I'm sure it really helped that when they were babysitting that little freak. I'm sorry, that is horrible to say about a kid.
I have a lot to say about him.
Scribbling rings like a maniac. Like, I'm sure they loved that.
It's just what they needed.
They came in, they were like, do you want a sandwich? Rachel!
Yeah, so they pick up Creepster. They go to sleep. They wake up. He casually asks her, hey, what happened to the little girl? Because we forgot to mention earlier, he's been having interactions with this creepy little girl.
Aiden.
She talks to him. Little boy Aiden.
Again, with the psychic shit.
Yeah, he's psychic somehow.
Yeah.
She's like, no, it's all good. I helped her. Aiden goes, what? You weren't supposed to help her. She never sleeps. Aiden, if you knew that she was bad news,
Speak up.
Speak up. You can get a dress out of the damn closet. This is just like
I
we
know.
got this, like,
Assert your independence, little boy.
So she freaks out. She's screaming. She goes.
Do you remember how? Also, sorry to jump back.
No.
He drew the picture of the house.
Well, that's how we learned that they've been talking to each other. He and the little girl, because he's drawn this house that she sees.
Were we supposed to learn something?
She calls him and she's like, "Why did you draw this house?" And he's like, his eyes are darting from side to side. Yeah, maybe
I think my DVD
took a little break. Maybe I had like an unedited version. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I had like a director's cut.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why mine was 2 fucking hours long.
Maybe.
Who can say? I'm gonna look into this.
No, I remember now because it's during the scene that he's drawing,
yeah,
and they're like,
phone rings.
"Your mom's on the phone."
Yeah,
but I don't remember them talking.
Yeah, they talk about it.
A lot of phone calls.
A lot of phone calls. Phones are very prevalent.
A lot
for
of
the thing.
tapes.
A lot of telling. The number of actual scenes in this movie where a scary thing happens are few and far between.
Very few.
Yeah, they are few.
It's very low on the jump scare. Very low.
There's one or two. Actually, the only real jump scare I had, she opens like a medical file and a centipede comes out. I did jump then.
My eyes are darting again. I don't remember that.
Well, that was
I jumped at one moment in the beginning. I think it was with Katie. Something with
the
Katie.
cold open is unsettling for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we learned that it's not over. Also because Aiden still has the mark of Samara upon him.
Right, that's what that meant.
So that's bad news bears. Yeah, so she's like, oh God, I gotta get a hold of Hot Luke Wilson because it's day 7 for him. And it's too late. I mean, what's she gonna do? He's gonna answer the phone and she's gonna be like, you're still gonna get killed?
She's gonna be like,
okay.
1 minute.
Yeah. Is that what she wants to do? So I don't know. So we finally see in this moment Samara do what she does.
Yes.
This is iconic.
This is iconic. Yes.
You know, the TV turns on.
Yes.
She crawls out of the well.
Right.
Crawls straight out the TV.
Right.
Hair in her face.
And I did always love, and it still holds up to me, that she has that TV effect on her body.
Yeah. Whatever animation or effect that they've put on her is very scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's like, fuck, scary. Don't touch me, get away from me.
Yeah.
And he's crawling through broken glass trying to get away from this scary little girl. And then we see her demon face, which is different from the nice little girl face. So that well done ring, and that is really, I think, the reason that this movie was as popular as it was. Yeah. Nobody had seen, I mean, maybe they had in the Japanese version of the movie, but for us dumb Americans, that was something new, I think.
And the long hair in the face, it just became a thing.
Yeah. So props for that, the ring. So she shows up, very sad.
Yes.
Hot Luke Wilson has expired.
Rachel goes home.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most scared that Aiden looked the whole movie is when she yells, "Go to your room!"
Yeah.
His eyes bug out of his head. Runs to his room, and then she proceeds to just flop around a lot to figure out.
She's grieving.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But one of the only times she shows much emotion.
And then she has that moment that we mentioned before of inner monologue, which we've never heard before.
Yeah, but she puts it together.
I made a copy. And I feel like what probably happened was they showed this movie to a test group or something.
Yeah.
And she didn't say, "I made a copy."
Yeah.
That line was not in the film. And they were like, "So, what did she do?" And people were like,
I needed it. I did need it.
Yeah,
so
me
I'm
too.
glad they added it. But they did set it up.
Maybe they added that copy sticker in post too, because they were like, the people
it was
need
a good
to
move.
know.
Yeah. So she realizes she made a copy, and not only did this was not clear to me as a child watching it. It was clear now, but they don't explicitly say it. Not only do you have to make a copy, you have to show it to somebody. So you have to spread the evil. And there's a great line that Brian Cox has earlier where he says something like, "You reporters just want to share everyone's tragedy, spread it around like a sickness."
Yeah.
You know, which is the theme of this movie is you're spreading this evil, you're spreading this disease.
So, of course, this brought up for me my favorite horror movie of late, It Follows.
Callie, I have not seen It Follows.
Kaitlin.
Yeah, but we're going to watch it.
Don't worry.
We're going to watch it for this.
And I won't give everything away.
But I know why you're saying
you got to spread it forward, man.
Yeah. You have to spread evil to live. So she learns that's what she has to do. She has her son do it.
I did think that the end was, I liked the sort of, I guess it's not ambiguous, but it was kind of a hanger.
Yeah.
What about the people we show it to? And it was just like, well, what now?
I love it. I actually think the ending is kind of great in that way because she tells her son, she helps him make a copy so he won't die, and she says, you're gonna be okay, and he says, what about the people we show it to? Roll credits. Which I think, first of all, I think it's cool. It's kind of, we're not gonna sympathize with this lady the whole time. She does something pretty fucked up at the end. You know, she is doing it to keep her son alive, so you understand. You have to ask yourself, would you show them? I mean, would you just take the hit
after seeing those people's faces?
Because it's like, is she taking your soul? But, oh, by the way, the other twist, I think the other twist that's important with the ending is that after she saves Samara's remains from the well, we're like, oh, this poor little misunderstood girl. She just wanted to be loved. She had this weird power she couldn't control, which may be true, but also she's fucking evil. Like, she wants to hurt people. But does she also want to be loved? Is she a tragic figure?
But I do. When they're like, why do you want to hurt people? I don't know, but I do. No, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's interesting too. I do appreciate the ambiguity of this movie. Really.
It was good. And I'll tell you, actually watching the credits roll brought me back to being in high school with this movie. Of course, I owned it, still own it on DVD. That didn't stop me from renting it on Amazon for $3.99 because I could not find my DVDs. But I own this movie, and I, like any red-blooded teenager, would often fall asleep with the TV on, with a movie playing. I would let this movie lull me to sleep. And I am telling you, the scariest fucking DVD menu of all time.
Really? Oh, I bet.
Do you remember DVD menus? How it would like play on repeat?
And there would just be this music, and it would.
So it would basically be clips from the tape.
Ooh, no.
And like some added things, and it was disgusting. And it would be that sound of like weird nails scratching and stuff. And I would wake up and turn it off as fast as I could.
You would wake up to that nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. I would fall asleep to The Ring and wake up to the freaking DVD menu.
I have to watch like Frasier when I go to sleep. I'm not watching The Ring in bed.
I know, this is life. This is life. This is us. I would fall asleep to The Ring. That's why I've seen it so many times. That's why I've seen it so many times and don't know when
you haven't
or
absorbed
where it takes place or what it's about.
Well, you know what? I mean, I just think that there's a lot crammed into this. There's a lot of plot.
Yeah.
It's pretty convoluted.
Yeah.
So it's hard to really keep a hold of. And you make a good point. You're not really super worried about the storyline, like the sequence of events.
Right.
You're more just sort of there for the atmosphere and the scare. Which is why it is a shame, I think, that there are so few truly scary scenes relative to how many sort of expository scenes there are.
That's true.
Do we want to rate this film? I have an idea for two different rating systems that I want to implement here.
My body is ready.
Okay, so the first one is a traditional 5-star system that's purely the quality of the film. The second is a scream emoji system out of 5 scream emojis, and that's to rate how scary it is. And I want to make it clear that the number of scream emojis it has does not necessarily bear on how good of a movie it is.
Okay,
we have to think of it like chili peppers and like spiciness, because a movie can be like not that good but still scare. Like a dish of pad thai doesn't need to have 4 chili peppers to be a good dish of pad thai. Really spicy pad thai can still be gross, and really good pad thai can be any number of spicy.
Okay, so a movie can be really good without being really scary.
Yeah, or
like
a movie,
Get Out.
Or a movie can scare the shit out of you in like a lot of ways, but it's not really that good of a movie.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So just bear that in mind. So Callie, how many stars are you gonna give?
Well, okay, here's the thing. This is so hard. Like, I wish I could. Do you ever wish you could just like erase your memory of a movie and watch it fresh? Like,
this was a tricky one.
Watch it fresh. I'm gonna give it 4 stars.
Okay,
4 stars. I mean, do I think it's great now? No, mostly because of that plot thing. But there's a reason I watched this movie so many freaking times. I must have loved it at some point, and I know at some point in my life I would have given it 5 stars. And yeah, I think I'm giving it 4 for like nostalgia.
Okay, I think that's very fair.
Kind of shit on it during this whole podcast.
Well, that's what we're here to do.
But
to be clear, we will probably not shit on every movie that we watch. But
love some of these movies, and I love The Ring. There's we picked it because it's iconic to us,
right?
So 4 stars.
Okay, I think that's fair. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 3 star. And I was torn on this, and that's because while I did have a lot of problems with it from a storytelling perspective, which we've unpacked at length. I do think there is so much that is iconic about it. Again, for me and my generation, for our generation. And that is kind of fresh. And, you know, I know it is an adaptation, so we should maybe give credit to the Japanese version of the
have
movie.
You watched
I have not, actually, and I would be interested to do so.
I think we should.
But we'll do it down the road.
Scene for scene on this podcast, but we should watch it.
It's a guy, right? The protagonist is a man.
I'm not going to watch it.
In the book, he's a man, but I don't know.
How was the book?
Well, it was a translation, so, I mean, it was kind of scary. I don't know. It's hard. I don't think it was the best translation,
Was
probably.
he a dad?
Yes. And his wife and child both watched the movie, so he had to save them both at the end. So that's what happened. And it was also his niece.
She had to save her husband.
I mean, I probably have the book in my parents' house somewhere, so maybe I'll read it again.
Interesting.
But, yeah, I'm going to give it 3. And I do think there are some genuinely creepy, original, like Brian Cox's suicide, the horse jumping off the boat. Mm-hmm. The well, I think, is a very well done scene.
Well done.
Her coming out of the TV is scary. So, yeah, I think it deserves credit for really knocking it out of the park in a couple of places, although it is not a perfect movie. Scream emojis. How scary did you think this movie was?
See, this is, like, freaking impossible because watching it this time around,
right,
not a scare to be seen.
Yeah.
But the first time, I think I was scared shitless. So I'm gonna go 3. 3 scare emojis.
I'm going to give it 2 because even though I was scared of it as a child, I expected to be more scared of it this time. And I purposely waited until dark and I watched it by myself with the lights off except for one lamp to right by. And like Abraham Lincoln. And I was not even a little bit scared except for that one time when my magnet fell off my fridge, and that did spook me a little. But generally, it wasn't scary at all to me. There weren't even any jump scares. The suspense really didn't hang. It was more like things were unsettling or disturbing.
Yeah.
And I would say, ooh, that's gross. But I wouldn't be afraid.
I like a movie that's like a slow burn. Yeah. Like a Carrie. Yeah. But you gotta have some jump scares.
You gotta have some
jumps.
I
was surprised
keep that tension
to
going.
see that there were no jump scares.
Almost none. All right.
All right, Kaitlin. Last thing, I feel like.
Yeah.
But of course, I can't think of any. But have you seen any good trailers lately?
I have 2, and I'm going to talk about one of them because I'm actually really excited for it. Is this John Krasinski, Emily Blunt film? Yes. I think it's called the Quiet Ones or something about Quiet. I'm sorry, we'll look it up and talk about it later. But
John Krasinski, Emily Blunt.
J. Kraz looking finer than he has in a
Directed and
wrote it, yeah. And it's about this family living in the woods, and they have to live almost silently because some unknown menace will come for them if they make any sound. So it looks like it's really full of tension. If you're
looks like The Village.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? As I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, I've mentioned that once. And there's an Emmy-winning episode called Hush that's all silent because it's these demons that take the voices of the people. And it's a really compelling episode because you can tell such an emotional story without dialogue. And it's a really exciting thing to explore. Speaking of
Hush, I'm going to make a recommendation.
Okay.
I'm going to make a recommendation for a movie called Hush that is on Netflix. Have you watched this?
Yes, I have watched this movie.
I thought it was so good.
I liked this movie, yes. Do you want to tell people what it's about?
It is about a woman who is deaf, and she experiences essentially a home invasion and has to evade the home invader using her deafness, basically. It's kind of like Wait Until Dark, where Audrey Hepburn is blind and does a similar thing. So it's a fun spin on that. It's a scary movie, and John Gallagher Jr. is a very scary villain in it. I'm not sure how I feel about the main actress being hearing playing this deaf woman. Oh. Because there are a lot of deaf actresses in this land. Darby! But don't take that to mean you shouldn't watch the film. Just watch it consciously. Yeah. Think about it, All right, well... We don't know what we're going to watch next time. I wish we did. Well, we're thinking about the Ritual, maybe, on Netflix. Oh, yes. Okay, let's do that. You want to just do that? Yeah. It's a new movie, so it's pretty much only a few letters off from what we watched this time. Exactly. And this is it, guys. This is the podcast. So every week, we're going to at least watch one movie to talk about, and we're going to unpack it and share our opinions, of which we clearly have many, too many. I should say, we don't have degrees in cinema. We haven't seen every single horror movie. We're not like connoisseurs of the genre. If that's not clear to you by the end of this, then we're talking about these movies as fans. We're fans. And just like I should also say, I want a caveat.
Okay, caveat.
I love The Ring, and I know that I just trashed that movie. This is not about trashing.
No.
You know, there's enough haters in the world, and we're going to bring a lot of love to this podcast because we love scary movies, and that's the reason we're doing it. So you're going to hear a lot of the things that we love about movies, too, not just the things that we think are ridiculous.
And to be clear, we love The Ring. That's why we picked it for our maiden voyage. Right?
4 stars.
3 stars, but with love. Okay, I think that's
Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, you can follow us on Twitter at ScreamGirlsPod or on Instagram at ScreamGirlsPod.
And send us the movies you want us to watch.
Yeah, send us recs, validate us by rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Bye.